Hello everyone, my name is Crista Portillo and I am with Lone Star University Park. Everyone knows about the women's struggle and the way women's suffrage pushed through revolutionary things for women and how it gave us empowerment. However, there's still stigma around the gender, and it has made it a little harder for us to become successful in the workforce. If we take it back to colonial times and we take a look at the work Martha Washington did for the soldiers fighting the war, it was significant. She riled up all the ladies in her community so she can help the men, the wounded men, the ones that needed food, that needed clothing. All this work was to help out the community and also to help out the war, for us to win the war. Men were able to get up and start fighting again and were fed. These women did more than that, but definitely is one of the many things that they did in their community. Mainly they worked as nurses to aid the wounded at war, and did live through the struggles of war in campsites with soldiers. Also, let's not forget the work that women at home did. Men went to war and women stayed behind and tended farms and their families, and they had to work in their own home and take jobs that men were not performing. Also dealing with the trade, because men were not there to do that for them. Trade was very important since they needed goods to trade with England and other countries. And this was not common back then. Women were not doing that specifically, but since men were at war, they needed to step up and do that job. We cannot talk about success in the women's movement if we don't think about the women's suffrage, which came later on down the line, far later on. But Susan B. Anthony also comes to mind when we think about empower women. Susan B. Anthony was a big advocate of the women's suffrage, empowering women and wanting the right to vote. Earning the right to vote was significant, a significant step in the women's movement, because there was no representation for us in government. Let's just stay back in that colonial era and let's think about one of the first things that led women to feel empowered to seek for something a little better for them. And let's think about religion. Religion was one of the things that empowered us a little bit more, since we were viewed in the church as equal to men. Not only that, but education also had a part in it. We were educated, we started to take roles in our communities, and we wanted to know more. Once we knew more, education empowered us to seek for something a little farther down the line. Education was a little different depending on if you were living in the north or in the west. With the Western expansion, everything was changing, and also we were able to get a little more educated, and women were wanting to be educated. So if we take the work noted in history about women and how much we contribute to society, there is work out there and noted for us, and depending on who you are. But many of us were behind closed doors, were behind the men doing the work, and it's definitely something that in today's day and age we still continue to do. Getting a little underpaid, maybe we don't get the job we want because society doesn't like women in power, or maybe it's not the norm. We have been pushing the boundaries in society, and we have to keep pushing and continue to change the norms in society.